Escuchen todos. Thank you for being here tonight to this very special presentation. We are very honored to have with us Dr. Naama Zoran, who is our tree into the philosophy of Reggio Emilia. So get ready for a beautiful presentation and lots of information on education, projects, and beautiful learning. So please let's welcome.
And before that, let me give you a little bit of the history. It was the year 2000. I was 5 years old. Many of the teachers who went to meet her that year, now their children are teachers here, at least 2 of them. Since that, so that's 25 years. And since we met Naama, the school was looking for some inspiration, and they sure found it in Naama. So we were joking today, it's our 25th anniversary. It's a quarter of a century. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think the relationship is working out. But I wanted to share a little bit of her qualifications and where she's coming from. She first visited Reggio in 1997, which was right around when it was becoming a global phenomenon. We met her in the year 2000. She received her PhD in education in 2005. In 2009, she was acknowledged as the formal head of or representative of Reggio for Israel. I was afraid this would happen.
Don't worry, don't worry.
In 2022, she participated in writing a competition to honor Loris Malaguzzi and won first place for that. And we also wanted to say that we are honored to, while she's far away, have her visiting now, and she spent the day here. She's going to show some of what she observed today with all the different programs. And we also, the teachers meet with her weekly via Zoom to continue the conversation. And I know as someone who has benefited from her knowledge and her inspiration, she truly understands this approach, which has been interpreted in many ways, on a deep, soulful, just incredibly poetic way. And just having her here today, I felt like everyone's spirits lift and their minds. The teachers just like we're thinking, and there's a positivity that you bring that is contagious. So with that,
thank you. Hi everybody. I'll just add a tiny thing to the history. I was invited to San Francisco by the JCC in 2000, and the director that invited me, she asked if it would be okay to do an evening for the community, and she wants to invite other schools that are interested in the Reggio Emilia approach. I said, of course. By the end of the session, one of the teachers that worked here, her name is Sarah, came to me and she said, we are a school in San Francisco. We are inspired. We really would like to understand the approach. And then they were a group from KMS that came for the evening. Catherine and Sarah and Randall and Yolanda, you were there? Yes. And we said, and Maria. Sorry. And okay, we exchanged the phones. I flew back home. In March, I'm getting an email from Catherine. Okay, Naama, let's talk. So I said, I responded, I thought that you would like to talk about the next school year. And she said, no, now. In April 2000, I landed for the first time in San Francisco. And it was love from first sight. And since then,
It's nice to have her back. COVID kind of interrupted things.
it's a wonderful journey. We decided that to bring the Reggio Emilia approach to this evening through your children in KMS. And I would really love it to be like a conversation, so feel free to ask a question, to bring a thought, whatever you would like to bring. And the voice of your children will be very, very strong and good. Okay, the Reggio Emilia approach was born in the city of Reggio Emilia after World War II, when a group of parents gathered and decided that they would like to create new education for the children for the future. And they started, searching and trying to talk with the municipality, etc. And Loris Malaguzzi, who was an educator, he didn't live in Reggio Emilia, but in a suburb that is called connected to Reggio Emilia, but and he came to them and said, I heard about you. I really would like to join and to go with you with, the thinking that you would like to create. How could I help? So they said, we are busy. You could be with our children. This would be a good help. And he brought with him a very, very, very special point of view about who is the child, how do we want to see him or her, and what kind of education we would like to have. To tell you the truth, what he established in the early 50s, we are not there yet. I mean the world. Reggio Emilia is a different story. So I just brought like 2 quotes from him because it would really represent the journey that we are doing. Okay. Mary Catherine, I love to work with my computer, but this TV doesn't want my computer. So I had to. Okay, that's it. Where do you click?
Well,
This one? Okay.
yes, down and up.
Okay. Okay. Just read it without my accent. It will be more beautiful. And see the strong belief in the child, seeing every child from birth as a competent, active participant in his own journey and in our journey. He has within himself the possibility of the possible. So one of the names of the pedagogy in Reggio Emilia is pedagogy of the possible. I want to explain the uniqueness of that. First of all, in Reggio Emilia, the educators are going with one main question, which is how children learn. They all the time trying to figure out in any given moment in the child's development, how they learn, how they interact with content, with society, with friends, with challenges, and they are always coming to any situation, any challenge, any, let's say, problem, from a place of there is a way, a positive way to deal with the situation. So what the whole world is really are concerned about, children behaviors. Okay, forget that. They do not think like that. They say any behavior is a question. Sometimes the questions are given in inappropriate ways according to our culture. Now, when we see it as a question, we understand that something inside the person, the child, is not clear to him or her. And as we know, the most important task in early childhood is to establish the core of the sense of self. So all the behaviors that we could sit until tomorrow and describe them, all the behaviors are connected to the sense of self. Who am I? How am I seen? How would I bring myself to be with others? How I would convince my friend that, yes, please, I want to participate, and another 100 things. So seeing the possible, it is something, it's a value that they really instill in children, that in any situation, something could happen, not necessarily what you wanted, but some possibility could emerge, something that you couldn't see, or at first you do not even want it. That line is really, really crucial. Our brain, the human brain, is wonderful, but it has some characteristics that are not so helpful, and this is called images. The mind is thinking with images. So anything that we say, if we say a 3-month-old baby, all of us, whether we have one or we had one in that age or not yet, we know what could be defined 3 months old. The problem with images is that sometimes we create an image and we are stuck with it, because our brain also doesn't like to waste energy. So many times it's like, yes, I know how we will enter the class, I know how this, how that. The Reggio Emilia approach really demands us to understand that we need at all times to find another window, not to be caught by a specific image, because there are other parts of the child that we do not see because of the image. So there is a lot of work, like within the approach, and it takes time to really like take it in, and to understand that any person is more than what we could see. Now, the importance of that is that if we want to give children the feeling that they could excel, They could go to places that maybe up until now they didn't touch. This is very, very important for them to know that I'm willing to see them in a different way. And could I share the story? Yes. And Andrew shared with me that in the afternoon program, there is a boy that when he joined the program, he hardly spoke, and now not only that he's speaking, he's organizing, he's like having ideas that he's sharing. And I said to him, but first to myself, sorry, that this is because of him being in KMS, a place that took the responsibility in its identity to meet the person where he or she are at and see them as competent at that place, and from there to start the journey and to work together. Only an authentic meeting, and I'm sure that that boy understood that he is accepted no matter what. This is who I am, and we are responding, and for us, you are competent. No matter what are the conditions and how I bring myself today or yesterday or whatever. And it is a gift to every child to be in such a place. Okay. Look at the last sentence, which is very, very poetic. Italian in general is, the language is very, very poetic. A restless explorer of the meadows of fantasy and the mind. I'll share like in 1/2 second that Malaguzzi was a person that wanted to be at all times in dialogue with others in the world, not just educators, but colleagues that will be willing to have this dialogue about how could we bring the image of children to a higher place, like around the world. And there is an author, Italian author, very known. His name is Gianni Rodari. And he knew Malaguzzi. In the early 70s, he approached Loris Malaguzzi and told him, I want you to invite me to your schools. I want to be with the teacher like for a long time to see the connections between the fantasy and the mind. Malaguzzi agreed, of course, and Gianni Rodari was in the schools observing, talking with children, thinking about like creativity and cognitive thinking. And he wrote a book, very famous book, The Grammar of Fantasy. And the whole book is based on on the year that they worked together. The teacher that in her school Rodari was visiting, a few years ago, it was actually 2 minutes before the COVID, it was the birthday of Malaguzzi was like 100, and there was a big celebration. Maria Luna was with me in Reggio because it was like a very, very huge thing. And that teacher gave, there was an evening of mingling and all of that. And I have this, okay, excuse me, I'm very crazy about the approach. It's like, I really, I'm doing things that generally in my life I'm not doing, but so we were like in an evening of, not cocktail, like gathering. And someone told me, this is the teacher that in her class, I went to her, I said to her, I apologize, but I really need to ask you something. Like, of course, she was very happy to talk. And she herself, she said that just the time that he was in her class, it changed for her, like so many things in how she could bring out poetry and creative thinking, like that are inside of all of us. And if there is the right person, they come out. Do you want to ask something? Or it's okay? Or what?
This is great. Next one?
Yes.
Sorry, I took it away from
This is a small introduction. Okay. Okay, never mind. Okay, this is important. There is a pedagogista in Reggio Emilia that says, we, means Reggio, we always look from the window of the possibility. Look at this sentence, I find it like very special. The potential, where could you find the potential of the educational situation? The potential is always inside the situation. And in a minute, I'll show you an example that happened today that really sits on that thinking. Inside means the place that the child, the teacher, and the group are sharing. So most of the approach and the very, very heavy place is given to social development. With the belief that we are born social, we have all the dispositions to create relationships with others, and they work all the time towards building strong relationships between the children as a group. And Malaguzzi had a wonderful metaphor. Usually we say that a child sees a friend drawing and he's copying. In the Reggio Emilia Approach, to copy, that word doesn't exist. Malaguzzi said the child takes a loan from his friend. And the minute he starts working, he or she starts working, it is already his or her. So there is no such a thing, just, to, it would never be the same 100%. And this is why the culture of sharing between the children is one of the strongest characteristic in the approach. Okay. Let's go to number 6, please. Okay. Okay, so now I'll show you a few stories that happened today. This was like an invitation, like what the teacher is offering is called invitation in the Reggio Emilia approach, because you would either accept my invitation or not. And they allow children not to accept this invitation. Okay, so this was like in the toddler,
Pumpkins, the preschool.
yeah, but the youngest group. That was the invitation. And children came in, like to the table. And the teacher told me that they were talking and they would like to create an airplane. Okay, now I'm taking you to the road of possibility. Okay, number 7. Yeah. I sent her with children to the library. And I told her, go with them to the library and find with them books with pictures of airplanes. And with the books, come back to the class and start working. So this is a moment of possibility. Because, first of all, at any given moment, let's say I've created something. When the children are coming, and it's for every age, it's not just for young children. I need to be very, very aware to what kind of hints I'm getting from the different children that are coming to my table, to my invitation. And when I'm seeing like the different hints that I'm getting, and I'm starting listening to what they're talking about, in my mind, I must start thinking, okay, what could be possible here? Not just to stay with, okay, these are the materials, create your airplane. But then it's very, very narrow. And to tell you the truth, I believe that we will not stay a long time in such a situation, because very, very soon we will understand that something is missing, especially if I'm in this age and I know a lot about airplanes, but as a traveler. Now, what I really love the most, look at the 3 children. Like the jump is huge. the level of interest. We do not need any, we do not need any explanation. The minute you see, look at it, look, the four of them, they understood that another window was opened for them. Now, even if I will not, I'm the teacher. Even if I'm sitting and I'm not talking, I let them do their own exploration. They already jumped a very big jump, because the action was has a strength that some words are not needed. We didn't create a monologue. You see how it is important to have a book? No, we didn't do that. We just created the opportunity to be with a book that talks about what they are interested in. That's it. The seeds are there. But for me, that's worth everything.
The sounds of art.
Yeah. Okay. This is okay. Look at this. I'll explain later. This is from the afternoon with Andrew. Now we will show the video. We have a video. Stop here for a minute. Stop here. Just okay. So I went down because we talked that I'll come and see the afternoon. First of all, I was amazed by this big thing. It's outstanding. And one of the girls, she felt that that kind of color is sticks to her foot, and then they started jumping just to explore the feeling. Now, not everybody felt the same thing, so that in itself is another jump. The beauty at that moment for me was that he just let them do it, to bring out the questions that they had in their minds about the stickiness. Okay.
What's our next step?
Listen.
When I make it art, I have to step back every once in a while. So maybe can we all just stand around the edge for a second? And now look.
That's right. Stop it. Okay. That moment is a moment of possibility. It is one thing to let the children, let's say, experience something, and it is a different thing to decide that I have an opportunity here to open another field, and the way it was done was very, very special in my mind, especially because you brought yourself as an artist. So it was so contextual, not just an outsider, like, okay, the teacher, outsider, saying something great. But this is the pedagogy of possibility. Because when we approach in that way, that when I three dots, and as an artist, I take a step back. Now, the idea of stepping back is something that is not just for that moment, because this is a characteristic or trait of mine that we would like children to have, not now just, but in the future. So this is like the spirit of the Reggio Emilia approach. The teacher needs to be, I would say, in alert, but positive one. To see what the children are giving me, that I could take, and then I'm sending it back with an added value. Okay.
Okay. How does it look differently from where you're standing now? What area do you think we need to help most? This is starting to look more finished. That looks pretty finished. To me, just me as starting. How else can we spread our joy into all of us?
This is KMS, par excellence. Like,
Be aware. That's why. Okay, friends, keep going. Okay. Oh, I feel your reaction. I want to go see.
you see, like the stickiness. Okay, and then, okay, now we'll go back to the other, and then we were talking, and I got the explanation.
This one?
Yes, that there is like, I'm sure you know it, like this table of sketches, that the sketchbooks, and then Andrew explained to me that this is like the pre, and then afterwards comes the big one. So first there is like one experience, more, let's say, more organized, let's say, with like a specific framework, and then the other one. Okay, how are you? You want to jump to the thoughts, questions, something?
I mean, this is even helpful in being a better parent, to think about how you support your kid and like help them move through the day and move through activities. You know, this gives you ideas about what to do with them, because I think we don't always have like a lot of great templates, or like it's hard to push your boundaries and figure out how to do things differently. So this is fun.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So now a lesson in physics. You see, they are busy all day long.
Yeah, her dad too.
Okay. So Let's start with
It's a video?
I think so. No.
I don't think. Wait, hold on. Where's my mouse?
So on the floor, the invitation was like different nature materials, and yeah, it's a video. 1 second, and they started. The two girls were together. Yeah. What is it?
Oh yeah.
What is it?
That was an earthquake.
What?
That was an earthquake.
Because of me? Oh my god! Oh my god! What is?
You moved the whole city.
Don't go outside, stay in here. Because it's a steel reinforced poured concrete building. We didn't even have a crack.
Oh my god!
And then the big bridge fell down.
Oh my goodness! I didn't understand.
That's what it's like.
Oh really?
Except like the big ones go on for like 30 seconds and a minute. Yeah. So I hear.
So what do I do? What we will expect?
I think we're okay. I think that was it.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay, we have stones in the first floor. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the two girls started working with the materials, and it's a story that has a couple of chapters. Could you make it louder?
So what would we do with the black stone? Wait, let's see how heavy this is. I can run with it.
Just for a minute. So if you wouldn't have heard me like 3 minutes ago, you would have your mind, I think, would have taken you to copying. First, that girl said, "Let's see how heavy it is," and then her friend. It's not. Now that you heard it, you know that it's not copying. This is called learning knowledge. So. Okay. If I would have been the teacher, in this situation, as educators, we need to be more active. To enter into the conversation, not nagging and just be careful, but to awaken them to share more one with the other. How did you feel when you held it? How do you feel when you're holding it now? So this is under the Department of Possibilities, because they're exploring. We gave materials. The materials are interesting. They chose. They accepted the invitation and chose to really be there. Our role is really to elaborate. Now, not too much, not too less, but our questions, and I always tell teachers, it doesn't matter whether they will respond, let's say, directly to what we said or not. It's important that they're hearing the questions, because when the question is coming in, okay, the mind starts working. Maybe by the end of the day or 2 days later, a child, could come to me and said, by the way, about the stone, I think that this is like the eye that we are working a lot in our work with the teachers, to really widen the scope of what I'm seeing, and not just to narrow myself to one interpretation, usually the more basic, interpretation. And also, if I see an interest, like to ask myself, what is my own interest when I'm seeing this material? For example, in Reggio Emilia, before they give material to children, they themselves experience it. So if, let's say, that is what we have decided for tomorrow or whatever day, they themselves will have a staff meeting exploring the things, to learn from one another, to ask themselves questions, and then when they are coming to the time of the experience with the children, they themselves already have like a deep feel about the situation and about the possibilities, to deepen it.
Is there more?
Yes. It will.
I think we were about a third of the way through.
Okay, hold on. I think I messed up the sound too. I'm gonna blame the earthquake.
Blame the.
Yeah. Okay, here. Play.
How would we know how much it weighs? The question that I asked was I just wanted to bring in something that is connected to what they are saying, like while they are like circling with it. Now I'll say that, as you know, we are documenting different experiences that the children are having, and the reason is to sit afterwards and to really listen to it more than one time, or if the documentation is just writing, to really reveal things that in the moment we didn't touch. Okay, let's move to the another.
This one?
Yeah. Where is? Do you want to explain what you offered? Come here. Why would I be alone here?
I offer different kind of materials for them because they've been talking a lot and making a lot of structures like towers vertically and also lines and combining all the learning and with numbers and math and measuring. So I offer just all kind of natural materials to build either towels or lines. But I didn't say like I didn't say anything about the weight or how big the pieces were. It's just different kind of materials. The big blocks I put it on the floor, and then small things I put it on the table, and I let them work.
No, but continue. You are doing it. No,
So here,
tell them about the girl that.
oh yeah. So Anna started working in this corner. You have a short video, but we didn't put in the commentation. And she's very meticulous every time that I give in to her any kind of material, so she can spend hours working with the same thing over and over, changing and adding. So she started this little corner with a very small building, and then I approached her and said, Anna, what are you thinking about your building? And she explained to me that she's putting things on top to create a tower. And I said, do you think you can add something else? And then she said, I can make a long way. And then she started to going with all these materials around the table. She ended up in the table because I think the curve turned a little before the end of the table, so she ended up on top of the table. And then a couple of kids joined her, so they having conversations about continuous the line, so they go all the way around. But what amazed me is like Naama say when she started the video, with the unexpected eyes of the children, I really didn't know how this project is going to end up. It just was an invitation for them to explore. And I can tell in my mind it was all different things that I saw that is gonna happen, but that is when. So what happened, and then also things like that, the possibility that if all of this is on the table downstairs, so tomorrow we can kind of revisit that and ask them what are they thinking, and then invite them for something else. I don't know.
Thank you. Um, so how beautiful it is that, okay, the girl entered from one door of creating a tower, a building, and again, because she knows in what kind of educational environment she is living her life, she knew that when she will say, I want to do a road, it would be accepted. And it won't be like, well, today we are doing towers, and then usually children say, bye bye. I'll come back when you'll accept my idea. Okay. This is a very special example how we connect contents and themes that are being taught with what is called in Reggio Emilia the 100 languages of children, meaning the wide possibilities of creativity and different ways to bring ourselves into the world. Do you want to share?
Sure.
Come here, hello.
Center stage, all right. This started with an invitation to look at cultures of the world. And we had some books about Aztec and Mayans, pre-Hispanic cultures. And the way the children immerse immediately into wanting to know the language, the buildings, how they construct the pyramids, how back then they write in their books to understand the Aztec calendar and all its symbols. It was just a very organic way for the children to learn and to dive into the projects. And from that, the children not only wanted to create artistic expressions, but they learned just like, I think it was in one day, how to sing in the Mayan language, which I don't even know myself. But they were looking at the writing words, and they wanted to practice every day and wanted to know what it means, and all of a sudden they were on stage singing the song and valuing that aspect of learning. But it was something truly organic, truly. I didn't have to say or question then what you want to learn or we're learning this and that. It was very natural, and it's been beautiful because it has so many different um, roads to take into this specific um, uh, learning experience. And this here became a beautiful piece. Just such, this is the beginning, and he really paid the time and the attention that he wanted to create something similar to what we were studying, and it became a beautiful, beautiful piece. So just watching the students learn that way is very natural, and for us as educators, teachers, it's very important to hear what they commenting, saying, for us to together take the projects to the next level. Yeah, very
Okay, and this is another example of discipline meets creativity.
Okay. I'm Claire, by the way, if I haven't met some of you, but this is something we're working on in math right now. We're studying shapes and geometry, and this has been kind of a month-long project. And it started with just even a walk around the neighborhood and the kids seeing and noticing and seeing the neighborhood. And then they've been doing a lot of building in my classroom with the marble runs and the shapes. And they have been kind of saying in conversation, like, why are there no circles? Like, why are there no circles? Why can't there be any balls? And I didn't ever really engage in responding or telling them why, but that has just been something I've been hearing. And after I heard them, I was looking at the materials I have out, and there aren't any circles or balls in the wood tower building section, which kind of connects with what Inez was saying. And so then I don't know how it kind of naturally evolved over time, but we were studying tangrams and we're studying things that don't have any circles. So I started collecting and finding materials around the school, finding materials at my home, and Inez and I put out an array of different cylinders, toilet paper tubes, all different types of anything that would make a circle, and gave the kids paint and just let them kind of have it. With the littler group for our documentation, I asked them to share in front of the group what they wanted to share about their painting. And this is one of our students, Griffin. He said, I like that mine is kind of like the letter C. I like that the orange spots are kind of like meatballs. And it reminds me of the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So this is a little one. And then the older ones, I did a one-on-one interview. That usually tends to give more of an opportunity. They might share more. They might give a little more emotion, a little more feeling. So I did it one-on-one, and then we add the documentation under, and you're more than welcome afterwards. All of them are displayed in the math room over there if you want to see the whole gamut. But this says, I feel happy. I feel like a lot of the balls, like a million basketballs, going like this because I like to stamp. I did a lot of stamping. And my mom does something I like to stamp. I'm not sure what that one means. But yeah, just two different ways to, I guess, gather documentation, gather their thoughts, but also how they interpreted the project. Yeah, that was circles.
So this is again how learning is all around us, not just when we are children. And to understand that the children also could be a resource for us to decide what is important. For me, when we talked, to hear that they brought this question about circles in our world, this is in Reggio Emilia is called like a moment when the child brings to the table a theme for research. And in Reggio they say it doesn't matter who will bring the idea. It could be the adult, the teacher, the child, the other children, other adults, whatever. But her ear was exactly what this school is all about. To understand that if they have a question, behind it, there are many, many thoughts. So even if it won't be, let's say, a long process, or even it will be like, okay, only today we will talk about it, for them, the fact that their thinking is acknowledged and has the right to be brought to the class, to the curriculum, this is what we call to raise a lifelong learner. Because now they understand that they could bring their voice. They know that it will not be accepted all the times or the whole idea. But this confidence in the world now, the school, that I have a voice and I have a right that it will be heard. This is the most important thing for high quality emotional development. Also, they bring very deep thoughts. It's not just cute sentences. They're cute, but for example, and they're smart. They know also what we love to hear. But how he combined different metaphors to something that not us, but other people will say, okay, a circle, hello. But no, it's a big it's a big thing. Also here, and we see like the images. So if we are not if when we are listening to the images, then I could use them later in other things that are happening in the class or in the group of children or wherever it is. I think that we opened, I hope, a beautiful window with a beautiful view. And the most important thing, the first and most important thing for us is the well-being of every child that is part of this family. And to be sensitive to what they bring, whether it's verbal or non-verbal, to what they are not bringing, and to create a place that is inclusive in the most wide way. And I must say that I'm thanking Catherine that came to the lecture in 2000. I do not see my life without Catherine. And the vision that she planted 50 years ago, very unique and special vision. And I hope your grandchildren also will be here. Thank you.
I do think it, I mean, it's an awfully quiet audience. I'm not sure, but that's okay. Your first introduction to Naama, she goes deep fast, and it isn't something you grasp right away. And so I do want to acknowledge how much teachers aren't typically trained to be this way. And so it's really hard for teachers to not come to the classroom with their agendas and what they're supposed to make sure the kids are getting. So that is something that Naama has helped us to see what we're hoping to cultivate. And even before Reggio, we did it with some other approaches, but Reggio now is our strongest influence. how do you maintain the interest in learning, the joy in learning, the self-confidence? I know we all have our own classroom stories of where we were sort of shut down or felt contained or not, inspired by the learning aspect. And the Reggio approach is really like what she just ended with, is so much about empowering the child, but also the teacher, so that the teacher realizes they can join the child with learning. You're not the one that has to provide all the knowledge. And that's often the pressure in classrooms and teachers. And this is such a beautiful way to teach, as you've seen in all the examples that she showed you. But it's sometimes difficult to let go. The teacher's too stuck on, will this get approval? Will they think their child's learning enough? Will they, and so it's also an ongoing chore. And I've been at it for 50 years, as she said, to help education change. It's going to have to change. It's not like it was when we were an industrial society and the 3 R's were important. There's so many ways now that the kids can learn the 3 R's that have resources. I grew up with encyclopedias. Those are like, nobody uses an encyclopedia anymore. And that kind of knowledge is everywhere. But problem solving, self-initiation, socialization, like she was saying, are far more critical to adapt to all the changes that your children are going to have to experience. And careers are not decided anymore when you're in high school and then college. Careers change many times over because of how fast the world is changing. So we're trying to, Reggio was developed after World War II or during World War II when they had to completely rebuild. Everything had been bombed. You can left that part out. The town of Reggio had been bombed. And so they started teaching the children in the flatbeds of trucks in rebuilding the city. Is how all the children learned back in the early after the war. But in that they realized they realized the importance of how a brain can have more power and expansion ability if you stop telling it what it should know. And that's kind of change we're trying to do. And so far you have all bought into it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now it keeps us on our path.
Yeah.
So ask her questions, because she knows the answer. What your concerns might be for your children.
So soaking it in, it's wonderful, like to see a child like being able to explore and like blossom in that way. But like at home, I would also like to do that. But like, how much of that do we try to do at home, or like bring it home to, like along with like let's say my kids are playing with their food at the table and making an art project, but at the same time, we want to get to dinner and chat and all that stuff.
Okay.
Trying to balance that, I guess.
First of all, we didn't get to the chapter that Reggio Emilia doesn't mean no boundaries. On the contrary. First of all, in my mind, there is a lot that we could do at home. I'll share with you what I did with my granddaughter. Now she's 12 and a half. But when she was like 3.5, 4, like once a week, was my day to bring her back from the preschool. And while we are walking, this is what I did. I said, her name is Ophir. You know that I'm working with teachers, and one teacher today told me that in her class, sometimes a child wants to play with a friend, and the friend says no. Did it happen in your school? She said, yes. And what did the teacher do? She said, she told him that the one that didn't want to, that he needs to he needs to, And I said to her, but maybe you have a different idea. Because if he didn't want to play with him, maybe something else. I just taught her the language almost 3 years, once a week. It works well. Every time I brought a dilemma that I, of course, and every time when whatever she said, I said it's a wonderful idea. But I entered like in between the also the other side of codes. What does it mean that, okay, usually in the school, so I think our way is to ask questions. I'll tell you about the dinner. First of all, of course, we are stopping the behavior. We are not, okay, Reggio Emilia, okay, do whatever you want. No. But then later, after the dinner or the morning after, I would do it like with individual conversations. I'm saying, so yesterday, when you chose during the dinner, I saw that you chose how to be at the table. So when you chose that, now I'm not saying what they did. I'm not saying you pushed this and that. Just the focus is the choice. So when you chose that, they know exactly what they chose. What have you thought? Believe me or not, even if the first time the child thinks that I'm like, what do you think? When they hear this more, they continue to respond. And I'm telling parents and the teachers all the time, it doesn't matter if we ask something and the child didn't respond. The most important thing is that they heard the question. This is like one thing. There is another area of tantrums. Sometimes. So the best questions for that, first of all, when we come with a question, it's a message of dialogue. Even if after we will set like something like more clear about what we expect. But first of all, remember that I said that every behavior is a question. There is something hidden there. I want them to know that I know that something is hidden. And we will have to, go back and forth to see how to bring it out. So let's say there is a tantrum. After the child is like calming down, because when he or she tantruming, there is no way to. There are a few options. One is how what happened earlier is connected to what you wanted me to give you. How it is connected. Now, it seems like a complex question. They understand very, very well. Really, like, because I want to show the child that, like, my bottom line, what I want them to understand is that you have other options to say what you want. But I'm not monologuing it. The big mistake that adults are doing is giving the monologues. I'm saying that to the teachers too. Don't monologue. Who listen to a monologue? Uh, they need a question. If I'm asking a question, their mind starts working. That's it. Now that question of why, okay, how it is connected. The other one is, I'm interested to understand why do you need the whole scene that was happening now? Why do you need it? Don't give ideas. Just ask the question. Because we work on their awareness. And there are no limits. Oh, she's very young. She will not understand. Okay, young or not young, they understand very well. They want from us empowerment. Like an empowerment means that I'm not arguing with you. I really want us to understand. Now, a few times, and the level of the other thing is responsibility. Let's say they poured the water, or the cheese is all over the table, or responsibility to be part of the cleaning. Now, this is also a way of empowerment, because again, instead of monologuing about how responsibility is so important, we are doing it. That our table didn't look like that before we all sit here. So now all of us are cleaning it. So this is how the let's say the philosophy meets reality. Now, of course, there are moments that we say sentences with like a dot, and don't think that it's all about wonderful. No, but the balance between having the dialogue and the boundary, and sometimes the boundary will be first and the dialogue will come later, and sometimes it will be the other way around. But we need both pieces, because they need to speak with us and we need to speak with them. Also in school. I'm in one of the schools that I'm working, the parents wanted us to do a parents' evening, because they said the child is coming with a language that we do not know what to do with it. Because when they are used to the question, they are bringing the question.
I feel like I heard there's two buckets you kind of need to fill for them every day. Like one's empowerment and the other's attention. I'm trying to always just make sure they kind of you're checking those boxes every day. Just like a helpful guidepost.
I think the need to be seen as human beings, like all of us, is so important in early childhood, because this is a period, as I said, that they're establishing the sense of self. And okay, in any age, when a person really feels that he or she are not seen, they will do everything, because without that, like with anonymity, nobody could really be. With children, it's especially in early childhood, Now, to be seen doesn't mean to be given everything and okay, in the middle of the night I want to go somewhere. No, but now I'm helping a teacher. There is a girl in her preschool that she's hiding things in the school. Like they had, we in Israel, like last week, we had a holiday, and the whole story is, it's like from the Bible. So it's the whole story that there was a king and the queen and a palace and blah, blah, blah. So in the preschool, they created the palace, and they put jewelry for the queen. And one day, two rings disappeared, and nobody could find them. So the teacher, that still has a long way, said to the whole class, like collective responsibility, that until we will find the rings, the palace is closed. Okay, long way. That didn't help. I do not know why adults think that if they will try to, to shaken us, the child immediately, okay, give me, here the ring, and just give us the palace. No, they, in any case, then by surprise, nobody saw when, the ring came back. So I said to the teacher that somebody in your class wants to be seen. Because why would you do something like that? Like it's it's high level action. Okay, it was a girl, by the way. All the men could state. The girl that did it knew that there will be a collective punishment, but the need to be seen is stronger. So interesting, I guided the teacher how to speak with her. And I said, you are not immediately call her, okay, to the judge. We will do conversations in groups about when we have something very important for us, what are we doing? Like, first of all, circling around, and then little by little. And the girl, she didn't say, I want to be seen. But now in the group, look, everybody, not everybody, but it's not a rare thing that children are hiding things or adults. But children said, like, a question brings other children to think about their lives, and they bring their points of view, and that girl said that she loves to hide things. So I told the teacher, you need to understand that what does it mean to hide? That someone would look for you. It's not the hiding, it's like the result of the hiding that. So I really, actually, first of all, the Reggio Emilia approach is very, very unique at its level of humanistic thinking, and how to approach a person, young or then adolescent, or like in ways that would strengthen them. Even inside them, let's say there are other feelings or other issues. When the message is you are always competent, even if now you do not feel that, and whatever happened, inside us, we are competent no matter what. And that gives strength to really start coping with different things that life are giving us.
To add to your question though about how to connect it at home, one of the first things you taught us is, yeah, there is all this empowerment and attention and noticing, but there's also a framework. The framework is really important. And if you have a routine of dinner, bath time, whatever your routine is, that's the agreement. And so you make sure they understand the agreement. And if they, at any step along the way, aren't involved or following it, you can remind them of how do they do it at school. Because they're not allowed to throw food around the table at school. And everybody, I'm not sure how Yolanda and Jet do it, but I know you don't see a bunch of food on the floor. And they know that what's in their lunchbox is theirs to eat, and it's not time to play with it. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Still right.
But again, like she says, if they do make a mess, because I know I've seen the toddlers even do it, they pick it up. Am I right?
Yes.
So she calls it the framework, and that's in other words, if that art project, all of a sudden they start throwing paint on the walls or, smashing in somebody's face, Andrew wouldn't have, that's not part of it. There are boundaries. That's not chaos all the time. And we always say, just ask them what they do at school. Because there are times when it's, you guys help me out here, but I know nap times have strict boundaries. And she calls it the framework. How you transition, there's no pushing, and things like that. So that there's particularly here because you have to deal with groups. It's not just your child. It's 10 to 20 children, and there can't be. It's important to have personal responsibility too. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Trust me, if they say, "What does Yolanda say?" or "What does Dindara say?" or "What does Chet say?" you'll get probably something very supportive of what you want. It's a good question to ask.
Yeah, well, there was in the journal, I'm not sure which teacher it was, but there was that, at least for the strawberries, where there's a new thing that you're practicing here at school, that how we put things back in place. So I definitely repeated that a lot at home. You're doing this at school. How about we do it too? I want too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this framework.
Survival framework.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for organizing.
No, we do meet with her every Wednesday by Zoom. And if parents want us to propose questions, just let a teacher know or write in the journal. Because an integral part of Reggio is the parents. It's important that the parents understand also.
The first parent that sent the question gets a bonus. Let's go back to the real education.